Hey everyone, welcome to the PCN Podcast. I'm Brazilian. Alongside me we got AJ. On our panel we got Dorsey, Fawzi, Evan, and Vape. Before we begin, I'd like to say a special thank you to our sponsor, You Don't Vape, for beginning a renaissance in the Discord by purging every message that wasn't pinned. Wanker of the day.
Thank you, buddy.
So, Orlando Pirates are sitting in first right now, only dropping points recently to Leon in a tense 1-1 draw. Them, as well as River Plate, have kind of emerged as like my teams to beat this season. What do you guys think? Who's looking like they're on top for the rest of the season?
First off, you can't forget about the Dons of PCN, young boys.
I mean, they're ninth. It's kind of easy to forget them right now.
I think that Orlando's way better than River Plate. When young boys, my team, played against River Plate, their goals were basically heavy crosses. Yeah, I think Orlando's way better competitively. Going attacking wise, they're way better than River Plate for me.
I think right now Orlando's averaging 4 goals a game. They're also averaging 2 conceded a game. River Plate have only conceded 3, and they're 8 games so far. So right now, for a little bit, the table's going to be a little wonky because Orlando played their games from Sunday when a lot of teams didn't. So River Plate still is 8-0. They still haven't lost a game. So I do think those are the 2 favorites. But Juve right there in third.
Well, you know, Juve sit in third, but and they have 2 games in hand, but they're still behind River Plate by 6 points, who also have 2 games in hand. So it's a rougher start than usual for Juve. Honestly, at this point, I'm not sure if they still have what it takes, quote unquote. We might be looking at a runners-up team versus a definite fighting for first team this year from Juve. At least that's my take on it.
I think top 3 is going to be River Plate, Orlando, Juve. Juve's won back-to-back championships, and you can't count them out, especially with Italiano and Macro up top, and, Killer coming back from Man U. I think they're going to do some good things coming later on towards the season. And Orlando is killing it right now, but you can't forget about River Plate, with their defense, and Kessie. I think he's probably one of the best strikers in PCN, if not the best. So, it's still only 12 games, 10 games, something like that into the season, so.
There's a couple sleeper teams left too. Manchester United and Arsenal are both 1 point behind Juve. So, there is a good chance that they could both catch up and overtake one of those teams in the top 3 as the season goes on. But there's still 22 more games left and 20 for everyone else who played their games already, who didn't have that lag problem. But it's anyone's race still. No one's out.
Speaking of sleeper teams, Liverpool have kind of snuck up on that top 6 spot as well. They've had a lot of good consistent performances. And although they have the worst goal difference of the top 6 teams with +1, they have 19 goals for and 18 against. They really need to get clicking going forward to get, more goals and clicking in the back so they can cede less. Otherwise they'll kind of start falling back down the table. But to get up to this point where they're in the top 6 now for a newly promoted side is a pretty good accomplishment.
Absolutely. At Lyon, we've beat them twice pretty handedly. I think once in the cup last night and then once in the league. But I've looked at some of the results and they're sometimes against these big teams, they're not quite there yet. But they've also had a couple good wins. I can't think of them right now. So I don't know if top 6 is where they're going to finish, but if they can stay in that race all season for the Super Cup spot, that's a really good first season in Super League.
Definitely. Moving on, Man City lost to Roma, surprising their managers Zlatan and nobody else. To be fair to Roma though, they kind of are a lot of big teams' bogey team. They're capable of holding the big teams like City to a draw and sometimes even getting a win out of it. Roma recently picked up, someone said I think they have 9 points from possible 9 recently. Is this correct?
They've climbed to 12th. They were in the bottom, I think 3 or 4 until the last couple game days. So they're starting to put it together.
Not counting the cup game, they've won their last 3 league games. There's just some tough games here and there where they just held it on for a draw, but they got big wins against Lyon, and they also got a big win against Manchester City. They're a team, like you said on their day, where they can beat anyone, but they can also lose. Online Ace has built a pretty decent team this year, and I think he has a good chance of pushing up the table.
Yeah, and moving on down the table, Evan, Fawzi, do you guys care to tell me your plan for moving forward with Young Boys after what a lot of people would call a below-average start, given your team's talent?
Big facts. Yeah, we just started the season off, playing with different formations. We didn't really started practicing like most of the teams do. But, we've played City. We played some tough opponents. We never really had a good week of just playing straight mid-table teams. I think our very first game when we played against City, that's the one that really killed our dreams because, it's kind of annoying to get a draw the first season of the game and you were, dominating. But just, we're just lacking up front. We're not finishing a lot of chances we're getting. We're slow with the ball. But yeah, it's been a below average, subpar.
Yeah, and that loss to Man U last night really set us back again also. Even though I was not there, I believe we lost, 3-1?
Yeah.
I had some family business to take care of, but I believe if I was there, it could have been a different outcome, just as we beat them in the cup when I came back home.
Yeah, we changed the
from
formation.
doing some stuff, we beat them in the cup 1-1, went into extra time, went into PKs, beat them in PKs, so. I'm not saying just because it's me, but, I believe I can make a difference. We'll just look forward to the season and see what happens. And we're still in the cup run and Super Cup, trying to finish top 6 or whatever.
Pressure makes diamonds is all I'm saying. Young boys, some of us know how to play from the bottom up. Like, we start from the bottom. They say nothing new for us starting below the league. Dorsey knows what I'm talking about. Like, right now we're having a sub-average performance, but I see that we're going to pick it right up.
That's good stuff. Well, Evan, if you feel you can make a difference, maybe you could apply your trade at Atlanta, because unlike the real Atlanta United, who sit top of the Eastern Conference, PCN Atlanta has gotten off to a pretty rough start with 8 points in 8 games, sitting in 16th. How do you think this looks from their standpoint?
I think they're a really good team. They have probably one of the best center backs I've seen, and Hernandez, 19. Going back there with Vaccine. I'm not sure else who they have on their team. And I'm not really sure what's going on over there, but no, I think they can pick it up. They start showing some sense of urgency going into the rest of these games. So got to see what happens.
I think there's a few teams in the lower mid-table right now that are teams that have potential to really, if they get things clicking, to move up. I've mentioned PSG before. They're in 14th. You have Atlanta United in 16th. And then AC Milan are still, they start off slow. They're 0-4, but even since then, they're 2-3-1. They're only up to 13th with 9 points. So that's a team that, maybe isn't going to figure it out as quickly as people thought this season, and that'll be interesting to see going forward.
Talking about AC Milan, it was a shock there. Ricky, the owner, Ricky, his team beat AC Milan in the PCN Cup last night.
Bayern, who are struggling.
That's kind of surprising. Props to Ricky. He's not giving up on his team.
Dortmund, they're top of the relegation zone right now, and they have the major advantage of actually having a win under their belt, unlike the other two relegation candidates. They drew Milan yesterday, so maybe, just maybe, they can start looking towards escaping relegation, seeing a momentum shift after picking up some more points. But yeah, on to Bayern. I mean, the clout this team had coming into this season, like, what the hell happened?
It came together late, but I don't think anyone expected it to be as bad as it has. They actually scored 3 goals in the league last night, so they went from 2 after 8 games to 5 after 10 games. So maybe they finally figured out something that'll work. They don't concede too many, but you gotta score.
Yeah, while they got their cup glory that you highlighted, they're still winless after 10 games in the league, and they lost to Roma 3-2, as well as being manhandled by Lyon 5-1. Big Rick needs to step up and take control of this team. Otherwise, the future's looking bleak for the Reds.
He just has a bunch of, players that aren't good anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
Point blank
some of the players.
Some of them are washed. And Ricky is, as we know, he's the owner. He wants to give people a chance to play. But as we all know, when we played with good players and we played with some of these players, some of them are just not good enough to be playing in a team like this. I think the best option for Ricky is to do his best, but I think he's going to get relegated with his side, and he should build a chemistry and stick with the same exact group of guys, come back in next season and see what's up.
Yeah, because I know a few of those guys on that team, they took a break between the most recent season in PCN, basically between the switch from FIFA 17 to FIFA 18. Some of them hadn't really played in PCN since then, or had kind of lingered from FIFA. So I think, these players that were so great back in the heyday, season 5, season 4, season 6, that was kind of when that was their prime. Now it's not so much. They have to kind of readjust.
The golden age, man.
Yeah.
The golden age.
But finally, on to our last team, and Dorsey, it's happened again. Tottenham Hotspur. It's happened again. Another winless game day. We're already about a third of the way through the season, which means Tottenham have a pretty steep hill to climb, but recent results like a draw versus Atlanta and only losing 1-0 to a team like City means that Spurs have a glimmer of hope pushing forward. But I think they really need to do a lot of reflection on what they need to improve upon, whether it's on the field, off the field, dressing room, or tactics.
All I can say is, Coys, come on, you Spurs.
They recently added Cream Cheese, a former team of the season and my former Real Madrid teammate. I mean, I feel like if he gets it going with them, he can really help this team turn it around.
Cream has to be one of their prime players to put all the links together to be a good player to have in your team. And I think definitely. If you have things working out, aim towards Cream Cheese being your main guy that creates all the chances for you because he's been playing in good teams. He's been playing with good players, so he knows how to develop players around that can be good with him.
So that about wraps up our Super League coverage. Dorsey, anything for the Cup?
Yeah, so unfortunately we had most of our Royal Cup matches postponed from Sunday. A few more played, but we're not going to really go over them because of all the issues of the lags. But last night we had our round of 32 for the League Cup. So we knocked out about half the teams remaining in the league. So I think some of the standout matches, Orlando beat Juventus 2-1. That's after they lost, I think, 5-2 in the league a week earlier. Inter Milan, who are top of Division 1, beat River Plate, who are still undefeated in the league. So I don't think people were looking for that. And then, like we talked about earlier, Bayern beat AC Milan 3-2.
Wow. So
definitely some crazy results. 5 Division 1 teams have made it through to the round of 16. And there's no quite Orlando or Juventus level matchups in there, but I think for me that the matchup to watch for the next round is going to be Young Boys and Arsenal. I think those are two teams that if they get it going, they can make a really, really good affair.
I take game by game. I don't care about form. Form goes out the window when you're playing cup matches.
That's true. I mean, Juventus have never won the PCN Cup, and they've never even really got particularly close.
I think Cup is in our blood.
I think there are some teams, some players that Cup works for them. I think there's other groups.
You don't want me on your Cup team.
Work.
I'm just saying. I'm a choke artist.
Unless it was season 6.
Levin's a little bit cursed.
And now moving on to D1, AJ, the floor is yours.
Thank you, my wonderful friend. Let's see, what do we got here today? We all thought we were going to play on Sunday, and a lot of us didn't due to the lag. And so we find ourselves last night with a couple interesting matchups. I was looking through the league, and I was surprised this morning when I got on the table, and the table doesn't look like it did before. So in Division 1, sitting lonely atop the mountain in first place is Inter Milan. Behind them, we have Bayer Leverkusen at 19 points. Barcelona is in third with 17 points.
They crept up there.
And I said that was one of my points from last week. Watch Barcelona. They were in 7th last week, and they had won 3 out of their 4. So they're still surging just like I thought they would. We got Ajax at 16 points in 4th place, and then Napoli at 5th, and Zenit at 6th, both with 16 points. So it's been kind of a little bit of a shake-up.
Do you want to talk about last night with Napoli? You guys lost 1-goal games against Atletico Madrid and Barcelona in the league, as well as Chelsea in the Cup. So was it just an off night? Was it,
Oh, dude, I'm glad you asked. It was...
What's the story?
How can you put this? It just wasn't your night. I think when we started out the night, and this is something I was wanting to talk about, guys. Anybody who listens to this knows that I'm the Napoli manager. I give a certain little bit of grace beyond 10 minutes to some guys, but from now on I'm not doing that. And this is why. This is what I found. And I'm not blaming this on the loss. We lost 2-1. But we scored in our first minute as we got into the game at about 8:15. They finally sent it. We started to play, and they backed out, and we scored. And so, based on the rules, you keep that goal going over. So we restarted. Well, we did not restart the actual match until like 8:23. So the match I had behind it was so delayed that I think one of those things that I'm trying to do more of is, guys, if it starts at 8:10, it starts at 8:10. Not 8:15, not 8:13.
It can throw you out of your rhythm.
It can. It throws my guys out. Yeah. Have you had that? Where it's
so many times where you've struggled to get into a game, and at times you think it's almost a tactic by the other team to just mess with you. And I mean, I know, especially if you're sitting there in the lobby for 15, 20 minutes without a game, it's hard to get into it when you start out right away.
It's like icing a kicker, like we call it timeout to ice the kicker so it offsets his rhythm. He's like, it takes him out of the moment. That happens all the time. Some people better at coping at it than others. Some people, myself personally, I'm a goalie, so I'm just kind of on my phone. It doesn't bother me entirely, but some people, the longer it takes, the less practice you had close to game time, it can really add up.
You get cold, and that's so based on how we did, because we had a horrible. So that's how our night started for the first game, and my hats off to Atletico We had a 1-goal advantage going in, restarting it, and they beat us 2-1. And then Barcelona, we played them. Unfortunately, our starting left center back and my spot, left back, I lagged out, and then so did he. So it kind of sucked. Hats off to Barca. They kept attacking our weak side, and they beat us. They beat us 3-2. And so that was another loss on the night. So it kind of felt weird. And then we go and we play Chelsea in our cup match, and we lose to them 2-1. And it just, all I can describe is it was just one of those nights.
Just one of those nights.
Yeah, where it just didn't feel right. And
chemistry isn't there. The game isn't behaving.
Right. We're not scoring. That's what's odd for us because, I don't talk about Napoli much on this podcast in terms of just getting to this kind of stuff with my team. But it's like, man, I look at the numbers. I know how many goals we average a game. And we only scored 3 goals in 3 games last night. That's the opposite of what Napoli, has been.
The good news is you're only a point off third. You're still only 4 points back of Inter. It's early, so a good night on Sunday, and you're back on track. And that goes for any team. Ajax stormed up a little bit. They're still sitting in fourth. They're still kind of in shooting range. But I think one team to kind of watch going forward is going to be Benfica.
I think so
too.
Think
a little bit more on that.
I do, guys. So whoever's listening, I like to walk you guys kind of through how my pregame goes and all that stuff, the entertaining stories. I hope they're entertaining. So I get a message from Little Perp inviting me to his club. And this is at like 6:30, last night. And I'm not interrupting anything that has to do with my club at that time. But then he sends a message and it says, manager help. I need manager help. So then I go into his group. I go in there and it turns out that almost all of the team except for 3 players that were on Ajax had now been released. They'd bought out their contracts and were playing for Benfica. And so Bidon put this whole team together in 24 hours or less.
It was less. It was less.
Was it? Was it like 12 hours?
Yeah, well, there was a little bit of there was some disgruntled members of Benfica who didn't like the way, even though Ajax was doing much better this season than last, they didn't kind of like the way the team was going. They wanted to kind of take over. So Benfica had folded. We confirmed earlier, basically on Wednesday, that they weren't going to play.
Yep.
So we needed a manager right then. And so, instead of these two teams trying to tear itself apart, we decided, hey, how about you got 10 or 12 people, you go make Benfica. Ramos still has guys that'll play there for Ajax. So,
right.
Now you got 2 teams instead of 1 maybe coming, dismantling. So it'll be really interesting to see those 2 as the season goes on and when they play each other.
Right.
I'm sure those are going to be
This is also
fun
interesting
nights
about it, right? Ajax lost their first one 2-1, but then their second one they won 7-1, and Benfica won 7-1 against Porto, then tied Inter.
But they drew Inter, only the second team to get a point off them.
Exactly, and then beat Roma. So going into this, I like them both. I told them both this. Like, Bidon knows I like Ramos, and Ramos knows that I like Bidon. But then I also have Spider on my team. I tell Spider that I like both of them, and he's kind of like, Dad. There's always, little triangles. But
this might be one of the first great D1 rivalries because in the past for D1 we haven't truly had a ton of beef that was kind of public, and I think these two teams could really go at it, and that could be fun to watch.
Benfica, Ajax, and Napoli, because I have 2 of the guys that are involved in that on my team.
Okay.
Rogers and Spider. They're best friends with Mappy Creepin and Perp, who now play with Bidon on Benfica. And so it's kind of like, this could be very interesting. And then, and I got the best part. I saved it for last. Benfica and Ajax play this Sunday.
Here we go. Right away.
That's what I mean. Who's going to take it, boys? I've talked. There's a lot of trash talking, but
what do we name it? What do we name this rivalry?
We should name it. It should have a name. Maybe we could have write-ins. People write in.
Hey, listeners, give us your suggestions.
Yeah.
Give us suggestions for the newly formed Benfica Ajax rivalry. And
we've got El Clasico. We got
it's gotta
Man City and PSG is El Cashico. We got LAFC versus LA
so we have
Galaxy is El
examples.
Trafico.
We have examples. So write in on the board. We'll put it. Reply under the podcast when this is posted. And then just let us have it. And then we'll just use that from now on. Because there's a lot of hatred. And I'm impartial for once. I feel very calm. I'm impartial. I literally like both of them. But I love to see the fact that they're about to go to battle. You know what I mean?
We won't talk about them every week, but especially this next week when they're going to be playing each other, we're gonna have to revisit this and kind of see.
What
I don't really know either team well enough, but I'm just going to give a quick prediction just so it'll be fun to talk about next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 3-2 Ajax.
3-2 Ajax.
I feel like this rivalry could start like a culture change down in Division 1. It's going to start get more people to become active in the league.
It's always a good thing. Oh, Ramos, here's your shout out. He was getting on me today. He's like, you keep telling me you're going to shout me out, but you don't. So here it is, all right, buddy, and you can put it in a GIF or you can do it whatever the hell you want with it. Ramos is now leading the league in goals with 11.
He is.
He just wanted to make that clear. And,
Spider Monkey's right behind with 10.
Thank you.
For you.
Love you, Spider. That's right. That's my boy. It's my boy, Blue. That's really all I got. That was the most interesting thing this week for the.
Yeah, Shakhtar and PSV still looking for that first win. You know, it's tough at the bottom. It's lonely, but the good thing is there's no relegation. So, you know, even if you never get together this season, but you can have some fun and learn some things. Because I know the Shakhtar team got put together, you know, a few games in. PSV's been a work in progress. So the key is that those teams keep showing up, keep plugging away, trying to find out who works. Good luck to you guys.
Yeah, bring some competition, guys. Better, the better, the better. Learn to hate somebody. I guess that's what fuels it. Maybe that's not right. Guys, I don't know.
They're not exactly that.
Yeah, love your neighbor.
Your calculations
I don't know.
can be off.
Right, just come play. Please, you have something
It
better to do.
stays on the field. It stays on the field,
right, and in our dreams. But other than that, we're good to go. So, guys, I guess we're gonna roll over and do a special interview with a very fuzzy-wuzzy Fawzi bear. So I hope that intrigues you enough. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the third PCN Podcast interview. Our lucky guest today is not a bear, but his name is Fawzi. It's alleged that he started in Season 3, although people saw him before that. But as of today, he manages PCN Young Boys, which sounds like a good name, but they're sitting in 8th place. How you feeling, Fawzi?
I feel great. Good to be on this interview and podcast.
It's becoming legendary, isn't it, buddy?
Oh yeah, I had to hop on board before it gets too high demand.
It is, yeah. They made you change cars like 15 times before they brought you to the actual recording station, yes? Good.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I guess my first question for you, buddy, when was your first season of PCN and what do you remember most about it?
First season of PCN, it was probably like third season. It was before all the actual team names. It was like makeshift names. I played for a team called Dixie Normus.
We allowed that back then? Ricky, what's up?
Yeah,
it was a one-season experiment.
It was a one-season experiment, which we won that season. We kind of dominated. It was a learning beta stage, as some of the admins call it.
All right, so you had that. I did not know that was part of our history. We probably need to cover some of that up. Ooh, this is a good one. What are your final thoughts on what AC Milan achieved from Season 4 to Season 7?
When we first started, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a struggle. It was bad, you know? It was bad to the point where 1-0 games, 1-1, like 1-0. It was to the point where we have no good attackers. The manager at the time, before I took place, basically just left the team, abandoned us, and I was forced to pick up. And I had like a player like Dorsey to be with me, and he was alright, we're both gonna take this team up. And we finished, you know, the first season we took in charge like halfway through. We were like bottom, and then we came up to like 6th or 5th place.
Yeah, we finished 6th, and we won the Super Cup.
Yeah, we did our thing. We got silverware that first season. Then next season, I got a little cocky. You know, Big Papa Foz went around, talked my smack. We had rivalries against half the team in PCN. It was at the season where we played Bayern. It was like the Bayern AC Milan where like the two giants were clashing heads.
And then Juventus snuck in at the end and won it. And VIP League, I think we got to the semifinals.
And I think season 6 was my last season managing AC Milan. We were 1 point away from winning the league, but Juve won it again. But then after that, you know, the next season, last season at least, I stepped down as manager. I was like, I don't want to be a manager no more. I kept track of AC Milan. I saw how they were going. You know, the team was playing good. They were first place. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did say they will choke this because there's a lot of pressure maintaining first place. There's a lot of pressure maintaining first place. That's why I know Juve will always come back in there. They finished second again, second season in a row. And, you know, that was my management. I was okay with that. I left because of bad beef, or not bad beef. But overall, I think AC Milan together as a whole, it was a good experience. We did our thing. People liked us.
And now you're trying to do something new. Yeah?
Yeah, young boys. Big facts. The Dons.
The Dons. The Dons. I've been hearing. So yeah, how does it feel to be the Prince of PCN as well as run the Dons of PCN?
It's a lot of responsibility.
That just seems like a lot, doesn't it?
I just do me. The Don of the, it's young boys, it changes. Over in AC Milan, we were a blood gang.
Blood gang.
Blood gang for life, we still have that.
Hell yeah.
We set trends over here in my club. We're a culture. We're all about the culture.
PCN Goth Boy Clique.
We had the Goth Boy Clique. We have the Dons. We have a lot of, culture. We have a lot of subculture in our team. It's all about we don't really, we have fun to play. Yes, we're competitive, but we also,
I don't know what you're talking about precisely. Culture. Do you mean like fashion goods or just locker room mentality?
Basically, the way we act,
Yeah.
the way we talk. We're just the cool guys with the leather jackets that all.
That's what I was wondering about. That somehow leather was involved in this.
There's a few goofballs like myself who make the way into the team, but for the most part, they're
The
pretty
dads.
Cool. The dads, yeah.
Yeah.
The dads have to take the kids to school.
Yeah.
Some of the dads, we were all in there. It's like.
I mean, Fawzi had like 3 children in one season. It was incredible.
Shout out to Jakub, baby.
He did.
3 kids.
3 kids. That's not even possible, just due to the baking time. How?
I don't know, man.
It's possible. 3 different women.
He just gets hella bitches, man.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're just all about when you set so much trends and you got all that clout.
Right, that clout. I recently received information through the grapevine, and based on my calculations.
Brought out your TI 83 this time?
I have it right here. You scored your first ever PCN goal last night?
I don't know what you're talking about. I have 0 goals in PCN. I think you gotta go fact check.
So you.
Well, actually, if you go look at your game against Atlanta United, you did have a goal.
No, I don't score goals.
That's
Fawzi's known for having 0 goals only. I don't know what 1 goal is.
That doesn't seem like something a Don would really do.
A Don would rather sit back and watch.
Need goals.
I don't do goals.
I
don't chase the goal.
The goals come to the Don? Is that what it is? The Don.
Yes, it is. If I want 10 goals, I'll put 10 goals. If I want 100 goals, I can put 100 goals.
All right. Well, we'd love to see it. I'm going to start calling you Don.
Don Fawz.
Don Fawz.
Don
Fawz. Is there anything you want to leave the listeners with? Honestly, about maybe, new managers, new players, old players, something you want to just tell the league.
Yeah. New managers coming into PCN with all the hopes and all the dreams. Don't be friendly. Don't be friends with any other managers. If you want to be you want to be a top team, you gotta be a top mentality player. It don't matter if no one knows you, but if you start from the bottom and you go all the way to the top for Super League all the way at the beginning, from first season you step on the pitch. Managers can't be soft. Some teams fold because managers get too sensitive. Don't do that. You gotta be strict with your players. You don't do that, you give them the boot or you get benched. Players, same thing. Players, you gotta play with confidence. Don't just, beg. If you get a look, you'll get a look. You'll always get a look if you actually, if you play good, you'll get a look. But, you can't just climb up by just talking shit. That's just always how it works. By being a manager, you gotta be an absolute asshole to succeed.
Fawzi's a big fuzzy bear. He's soft. If you had to pick one fullback in their prime to take with you right now, Alaba, Red Knight, Welty, Vape, or Jakub, who are you picking?
My boy Red Knight winger, 100%. He is one of the best right backs on this league still to this day. I will put money on it. I will put my whole team on it. I will put my crown on it. Red Knight is one of the best right backs still. He can come back to this season. He could come back now and play.
Team of the season.
Best right back ever played with.
I'm going to go recruit him now. Thank you.
Fawzi, I actually have a quick question for you. Did you always have this kind of swagger in your step, or was it kind of a characteristic you developed? Was it something that you kind of had to work for? Or did you always just kind of have this, I guess we could call it bold and brash, but it's a very iconic thing in PCN?
I mean, I did come from playing soccer background, so I was always like, a dickhead basically. I played soccer in real life. I had some, background being an asshole there too. So I came on pro club scene. I was like, you know what? Let me get in on here and see what's up. Me being an asshole is something that I'm like normal with, because like I know what I can do, and I have the confidence to do it on the field any time of the day. And if the people that I played with before, they played with me before, they know that I'm 100% of the time, like the truth.
Is that the kind of thing you leave on the field? Is it the kind of thing you only display on the field, or do you carry that around with you on your day to day?
Off the field, on the field, I'm a confident person. I'm everything, If you don't play with me, it looks like this guy's like super ignorant. He's super self-centered. But if you play for my team and I know you and like we're good buddies, I'll praise you. I'll treat you like one of my teammates. But if I don't like you, this dickhead look that you see from outside, you'll get it. You get the smoke.
That is beautifully and wonderfully put. I know I'm a little intimidated, but also excited. Guys, how's everybody else feel about it?
Good shit, Fawzi. Thanks for coming on.
I'm hard.
Follow me on Twitter.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
Good shit. I like it. A lot.